Chapter 6 Queen Red's House of Progress. The fairy inaugural ball was just a day away, but it was only one of the major things occupying Alex's mind. As soon as she agreed to go on a walk with Rook, she found herself juggling two fixations at the same time. One minute she was obsessing about what to wear or how to behave at the ball, and next she was daydreaming about how wonderful or tragic her walk might be. It was an exhausting and constant balancing act between the two worries. On the one hand, she was thankful to have two subjects on her mind, as each distracted her from the other. On the other hand, Alex would have given anything just to clear her mind for a moment or two. Alex thought the best way to deal with the stress of the two pending events would be the getaway of reminding her of both, so she happily took Red's offer to meet the morning after Jack and Goldilocks' wedding. It was a bright and sunny morning when Alex and Cornelius journeyed into the Red Riding Hood Kingdom. They traveled northwest, around the Troll and Goblin territory, or Trollblin territory as it was now called, and soon the tiny kingdom came into view. A high wall was being constructed around the kingdom. Dozens and dozens of stonemasons worked tirelessly on it, building it brick by brick. From the looks of it, the new wall would be exactly like the old one, which the enchantress had eliminated. Alex and Cornelius had no trouble at all crossing to the kingdom. Many of the guards at the south gate even bowed to Alex, recognizing her as an acquaintance of the queen. Cornelius regularly trotted through the royal hills of Bo Peep family farms, showing off all the livestock they passed, and went to the town in the center of the kingdom where Queen Red's castle stood. The town was as delightful as when Alex saw it for the first time with her brother. It was as a friendly and picturesque village, with many shops, barns, houses, and landmarks. A baker stood out his shop, sharing trays of free samples with the townspeople moving past. A locksmith made a table set outside his store and demonstrated how he made keys to a crowd of onlookers. Farmers pulled their stubborn animals and children through the streets as they went about their day. The Red Riding Hood Kingdom had recovered handsomely from the turmoil the enchantress had caused. "Excuse me, do you know where the House of Progress is?" Alex asked a shepherd passing by. "It's across the hall, across from the castle at the other end of the park," the shepherd told her. "Thank you," Alex said, and followed his directions. She had been to the castle many times, and it was easy for her to see Cornelius there. The House of Progress looked just like a miniature version of the U.S. Capitol, except it had been painted red and the dome had been replaced with the world's largest square basket. "That is so Red Riding Hood," Alex said, and shook her head. Even Cornelius moved his head back and forth at the ridiculous sight. They traveled through the park, and Alex left Cornelius at the foot of the building's wide front steps. Statues of Queen Red, posing heroically at her favorite outfits, lined the steps up all the way up to the doorway. Alex could have believed this was the woman she had come all this way to get advice from, but at least the journey had gotten her out of the fairy kingdom. The House of Progress entrance hall was decorated with dozens of paintings of the young queen. Alex was used to Red's narcissistic decorating by now, and it didn't faze her, but there were two incredibly large paintings on the wall that made her laugh. One was Red regally speaking to her people just before setting sail the enormous flying ship the Granny. The other was a painting depicting a moment when Red refused to surrender her kingdom to the enchantress. Alex had run around for both for those moments and didn't remember either one as dramatic as the painting suggested, but she thought they were amusing nonetheless. In the very center of the entrance hall was another statue of Red, but of epic proportions. Queen Red sitting on her throne, looking exactly like the Lincoln Memorial. "I've got to stop showing Red pictures of the other world," Alex said under her breath. A line of waiting townspeople started in the entrance hall, curved around a giant statue, and ended just before the open doorway to the next room. Alex followed the line and found herself stepping into a large circular room directly under the building's gigantic basket. Alex, look out! Red shouted from the back of the room. Next thing Alex knew, she was being tackled to the ground by an enormous black wolf. Her wand was knocked out of her hand and rolled away from her. The wolf pressed his massive paws against her chest near her throat. He opened his large snout and Alex could see the sharp teeth inside his mouth. She closed her eyes as tight as possible, knowing what's coming next. Alex felt the wolf's wet tongue lick her face over and over again. He was excited to see her. Hello, Claudius. Hello, Claudius. Alex grunted under him. It's nice to see you again. No, Claudius, what did I say about tackling guests? Red yelled. A handful of Red's guards who had been standing along the edge of the room tried to remove the wolf from the young fairy, but he growled viciously at them and quickly backed away. Claudius, get off the air of magic right now, Red demanded. Claudius immediately jumped off of Alex. Clearly, Red was the only one who could control him. Alex got to her feet, and Claudius put his overgrown head on her hand so she would pet him. Look how big you got, Claudius, Alex said as she scratched under his chin. You get bigger every time I see you. Claudius retrieved Alex's wand, but she went to take it from his mouth and pulled away. He wanted to play. No, Claudius, Alex said, pink. That's not something you can play with. Claudius, drop the nice fairy's wand right now, Red ordered, but the wolf ignored it. I said drop it. Don't make me shake the can full of coins. Claudius sat down and set the wand gently on the floor in front of Alex. Even when seated, he was almost as tall as she was. Alex collected her wand and headed to the back of the room where Red sat. Red was perched on a raised throne and dressed in the nines in the red ball gown and tiara. She was drenched in diamonds. To her right were 2 rows of raised seats where 9 people and animals alike sat. Although the seats weren't raised as high as hers, of course. Alex assumed these must be the representatives Red had been talking about yesterday. Alex immediately recognized the 3 sitting closest to Red as Red's granny, the little old woman who ran the shoe-in, and the 3rd little pig. There's also 3 blindfolded white mice who shared one seat, a bushy-haired black sheep, a nervous and jumpy young woman, and an obese man who wore a guilty expression as he ate a pie. Everyone, this is my good friend Alex, Red said. Alex, let me introduce you to my House of Progress representatives. The Honorable 3 Blind Mice, Sir Baba Black Sheep, Little Muffet, and Sir Jack Horner. And of course, Granny, the little old woman from the shoe-in, and the 3rd little pig. They all greeted her with warm welcomes, except the old woman, who was infamously hard of hearing. Who's complex? The old woman said. Not complex. Alex, Granny said direct to her friend's ear. She's one of Red's friends. Wonderful to meet you all, Alex said. I hope I'm not interrupting anything. Not at all, Red said. We're just waiting for Charlie to arrive before we begin our weekly open house meeting. I'm sure you saw all the townspeople line up. They love coming to the House of Progress and voicing their concerns. I've become very good at figuring out ways to help the people. It's like a little game. Just then they heard footsteps and saw Froggy entering the room carrying a large stack of papers. Good evening, everyone, he kindly greeted the representatives. Hello, Alex. I wasn't expecting to see you. Huh? Ugh. Claudius tackled Froggy as soon as he came to the room. This was just how the wolf seemed to greet people. All of Froggy's papers flew into the air. Claudius, I just saw you not 20 minutes ago. You have to stop this madness, Froggy grunted, pushing the wolf off him. You need to start chaining him down. I tried that, but he ate through the chain, Red shrugged. Claudius, come here, boy. Come to Mommy. Claudius ran to Red's side and happily plopped his big head on her lap. Froggy collected his papers, but they were all disorganized now. Come sit by me, Alex, Red said, and patted the armrest on her throne. We have so much to talk about. Are you sure it's all right to visit during the open house meeting? Alex asked, taking a seat. Oh, it's more than fine, Red assured her. Charlie leads the meeting while I supervise. They get my attention. They need me. Froggy took his place in front of the room and the meeting began. Forgive me, but the open house forms you filed out prior to arriving are a little jumbled. He apologized to the townspeople. So when it's your turn, I'll need you to step forward and state your name and nature of the pressing matter that you'd like us to deal with. One by one, the townspeople stepped forward and told Froggy and the representatives about their dilemmas. Froggy and the representatives talked about the matter among themselves and then presented the villager with the best solution possible. It was a very nice process for Alex to witness. Froggy and the representatives generally seemed passionate about helping the townspeople. Wonderful, everything is going just splendidly, Red said, and then allowed Alex to become her sole focus. Let's talk about your date this evening. Have you picked out an outfit to wear? If not, I have a little pink dress somewhere in one of my closets that you look divine on you. I was thinking I would wear just this, Alex said, and gestured to the sparkling dress she wore every day. I think he'd appreciate it if I just dressed myself. Be careful of that, Red warned her. Some of the best advice Grammy ever gave me was never to be myself when meeting someone for the first time. You don't want to scare them away. Red thought about this for a moment. She was pretty sure Granny had meant that as advice for Red personally, not in general. He's a farmer's son, Red said. I'm afraid doing or saying anything over the top may scare him away just as easily. I'd rather he feels comfortable with me than intimidated by me. That may be, but you shouldn't make him feel too good about himself on the first date, Red instructed. Men must always think they're inferior to you. Otherwise, they don't leave you any room to train them. Froggy interrupted their conversation momentarily. Darling, this man is from the south part of town, he said, about the townsman standing in the middle of the room. Apparently, the south path has become so bumpy it's ruining all the carts that travel on it. They need a new path to be paved. Great, then pave a new one, Red said with a big smile. Unfortunately, they don't have the funds for it, and the kingdom's pockets will be swallowed until the new walls are built, Froggy explained. What should the representatives and I suggest? Red knew just the thing. She took the diamond bracelet off her wrist and tossed it to a man from the south village. Here, sell this and use the money to pave a new path. It should be more than enough. The man was stunned. The Queen would give him something so valuable. Tears came to his eyes. Thank you, Your Majesty. Thank you so kindly. He said it on his way out the door. You're very welcome, Red said, and turned quickly back to Alex. So, where are you and Rook going on a walk to? I'm not sure, Alex said. I was just planning on following him. Red shook her head. Whatever you do, do not let him lead the walk, she said. Men are natural-born leaders, and it's our job as women to rid them of that animalistic trait. If you let him lead the first walk, soon he'll be leading the whole relationship. So is it a good sign if he wants me to lead the walk, Alex said. No, that's even worse, Red said. That means he's got no confidence and expects you to do all the work and hold his hand the rest of his life. You're way too young for that, Alex. Alex scratched her forehead. Red was only making matters more confusing for her. Do you really believe this advice, Red, she asked. None of this stuff betrays to me, Red said. I'm just looking out for you. Darling, Froggy interrupted again, this woman is from the east part of town. She's a baker whose husband died a few years ago. She makes a decent living, but not enough to take care of her 4 children on her own. Tears were streaming down the poor baker's face. She was clearly ashamed to be standing before him asking for help. There, Red said sympathetically. There is no reason to cry. We all need a helping hand every now and then, especially me. I'm useless without my staff. The Queen scanned the dozen or so remaining townspeople in the line. She saw a frail and sad-looking man holding a pitchfork in the very back. Excuse me, sir, are you a farmer? She asked him. The man was shocked his Queen was speaking to him directly. Yes, Your Majesty, he said with a quick bow. Let me guess, you're here because you can no longer afford to feed your family. Am I correct? Red said. Why, yes, Your Majesty, he said, and amazed she could tell so easily. Oh, wonderful, Red said happily. Everyone in the room gave her a strange look. Oh, I didn't mean that was wonderful. I mean, it's wonderful that you're a farmer because I believe you and this baker can help each other out. Do you have cows in your farm? The farmer nodded. Yes, I have 6, he said. Terrific, Red. Red then looked back at the baker. I'm assuming financial burden for you is the cost of milk, am I right? Yes, Your Majesty, the tearful baker made it. Then that's solved, Red said, with a gleeful clap. The farmer will supply the baker with as much milk as she needs, and in return she will provide food for his family. Does that work for everyone? The farmer and the baker looked at each other and smiled. Queen Red had given them both a solution. Froggy and Alex exchanged a smile of their own. Red may have been clueless most of the time, but when she was good, she was good. Red continued the open house meeting, and Red continued chatting with Alex. Now, if he wants to go on a second walk with you, you must act like you're too busy, Red said. Why? Alex asked. To keep him grateful for your company, Red said, as if it was obvious. A hurried set of footsteps echoed through the room. A woman was causing quite a commotion as she entered, pushing past all the townspeople waiting in line. Had been such a pleasant day until this. The disturbance caught everyone's attention, especially Red's. Excuse me, you have to wait your turn, Froggy politely told the woman. I didn't come here to ask for any favors, the woman said as she stepped before them. I've come to make an announcement. She was a very beautiful and determined young woman, who seemed to be around the same age as Red. She had pale skin and blue eyes and dark hair that was tucked underneath a yellow bonnet. She wore a matching yellow ruffled dress with blue sash and carried a white shepherd's staff. She was the most stylish shepherdess Alex had ever laid eyes on. Who are you? Froggy asked her. He was fairly new to the Red Riding Hood kingdom and didn't recognize her. I'm Little Bo Peep, owner of the Bo Peep family farm, she declared. A hush fell over the room. Little Bo Peep was very powerful and respected member of the community. It was only on rare occasions that she was seen outside her farms. The townspeople and representatives knew there must be a very important reason she had come to the House of Progress today. Queen Red eyed her up and down and left to right. She refused to be intimidated by anyone in her own house. Thank you for joining us, Little Bo, she said. What brings you to the House of Progress today? Little Bo smiled. To put it simply, I've come here before you today to challenge Queen Red Riding Hood, the throne of the Red Riding Hood Kingdom. Everyone gasped. Never in the history of the Red Riding Hood Kingdom had someone so openly disrespected the Queen. Little Bo smiled snidely at the reaction. As this bold declaration, Red stood up from her throne. How dare you, she said coldly. You think you can just walk into my House of Progress and threaten the throne of my kingdom? You're lucky I don't have you immediately locked up. You think this is your kingdom? Little Bo said, without a trace of fear. Then you're mistaken, Your Majesty. It may have your name on it, but this kingdom belongs to the people. The sole purpose of the Claw Revolution was to free ourselves from the evil queen, who was in power of the Northern Kingdom at the time. Now look at us. A decade and a half later, we're standing in one of the many shrines to another self-obsessed queen. Well, I'm sick of it, and I'm not alone. She reached into the pocket of her dress and removed a scroll that she handed to Froggy. This is a petition signed by 100 other citizens of the kingdom who agreed it's time for remedies change, Little Bo said. They also have stated that I am their chosen candidate for a new suffrage. We elected a queen before. We can elect a queen again. This is preposterous, Froggy said. It's the will of the people, sir, Little Bo corrected. Are you going to ignore it? In the House of Progress, of all places? Froggy looked over the list of names and shared it with the representatives. You're not actually humoring her, are you? Red yelled, outraged that they would even read such a thing. That little peep girl has a point, dear, Granny said. Granny, whose side are you on? Red said in shock. I'll always be on your side, dear, Granny said, but it's the people who gave you your throne, so if the people want to give to someone else now, they have to do the right thing to do. All the representatives seemed to agree with her. Even the 3 blind mice nodded along, and they couldn't even read the names on the scroll. What makes you think you're qualified to lead this country? Red asked Little Peep. My farm makes up over 70% of the kingdom and produce over 80% of the goods we trade with other kingdoms, Little Peep proclaimed, only for you to take 90% of those profits and use it to build castles and statues of yourself. Red's nostrils flared. Which keeps many builders and artists employed throughout the kingdom, she said in defense. Yes, but as you can see, there are no buildings or artists seeking aid in this room, Little Bo pointed out. I believe there is a more responsible way this kingdom can be managed that will benefit everyone equally, and I believe I am the one to do it. The townspeople and representatives began whispering among themselves. Red could sense some of them were starting to agree with Bo Peep. So, what do you want, Little Bo? Red said, crossing her arms. You can't just waltz in here and demand to be queen. Sir Baba raised a hoof to join the conversation. We could have another election. Red was staring daggers at him. Oh, how typical. The sheep wants Little Bo Peep to run for queen. That's patronship, if I ever saw it. I think it's a great idea, Granny said. An election would give the people of this kingdom a way to express their will. And what if I don't allow an election, Red said. I'm still the queen, after all. The last time I checked, my word was still the law. Little Bo Peep stepped even closer to the throne. Then you will be proving to your kingdom that you are no different from the evil queen, and the next revolution that breaks out will be against you. The statement was meant to scare Red, and it worked. So be it, Red said. We'll humor this shepherdess with a little election. But if I recall, Little Bo, you have a reputation of not being able to find your own sheep. So I doubt you'll be able to find support that rivals mine. I was elected queen after the Crawl Revolution, and I will be elected queen again. Then I'll see you at the polls, Your Majesty, Little Bo said, and with a coy smile. She turned on her heel and promptly left the House of Progress. Red reseated herself on the throne. Her cheeks were bright pink and a concerned scowl was frozen on her face. Alex had never seen her look so distraught. The thought of losing her throne had always been Red's greatest fear, but the idea that might lose it to the people's will was obviously almost unbearable to her. Alex couldn't imagine Red as anything but a queen. She put a hand on her friend's shoulder, wishing she had words to comfort her. Froggy ran up to the throne and kneeled to her side. Are you all right, my dear? Splendid. Just splendid, Red said. She stared at the floor, quietly plotting her next move. If it's an election that sheepherder wants, it's an election she'll get. Alright, that is the end of Chapter 6. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to hear more of The Land of Stories of Grimm and Warning and more books to come. Also, if you have any good recommendations for me to reading, don't forget to comment below for more reading for me to read in the future. But overall, I hope you have a wonderful day and hope you enjoyed the read. Bye!